The Acting Director of Families in Place, New South Wales Family and Community Services. Anthony is responsible for program management and reform of the FaCS targeted early intervention programs. Anthony has held a number of positions across FaCS during his 12 years with the department, both at head office, leading statewide child protection and homelessness reform, and at a district level, most recently as Director of Community and Reform, Northern Sydney. Anthony managed NGO, disability and community services funding, and a range of community development projects and sector partnerships. Prior to working in FaCS, Anthony worked for 10 years in the NGO sector, managing and leading youth service organisations. You can guess now that he's much younger than Ellie and I. Anthony holds a Master of Social Policy, Graduate Diploma in International Development, and BAs in Social Science, Youth Work and Arts History. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to talk to you about the Family and Community Services Targeted Early Intervention Reforms. As a lot of you will be aware, the reform process in the Targeted Early Intervention Program with FaCS has been underway for some time, and a lot of you have been involved in the extensive consultation process that's been occurring over the last 6 to 12 months. So this afternoon, I just want to take the opportunity to talk to you a bit about what we've heard and what we've learned during those consultations, to give you some indication of the next steps in the reform process. So just briefly, FaCS Targeted Early Intervention Program. There's 9 programs that we integrate to the reform, total budget of $150 million across New South Wales. Some of these programs are in all districts across the state, and some programs, for example, UCO, getting together, staying home living violence, are only in some districts across New South Wales. So what are we hoping to achieve through the reform? So what we're looking for in the reform service system is a service system that's flexible. It really is able to focus on client needs rather than stick to rigid program guidelines. Importantly, what we want to be able to do is have a service system that's locally responsive. Responsive to the strengths, assets and needs of local communities. We want a service system that's grounded in a strong evidence base, evidence in what we know works, but also allow room for innovation and emerging models of service delivery. We want a service system that's adaptive, that's able to continuously improve and respond to change. We want a service system that's client-centred, that's able to work with individuals and families in addressing their needs. So just briefly in terms of where we're up to in terms of the reform, the reform's been broken down into 5 phases. So the first 2 phases essentially involve quite a lot of consultation and feedback from the sector, clients across government. And we're just now in the 3rd phase, which is really about being clear about our reform directions, starting the process around service design. I'll talk a little bit more about where we're up to and the next steps towards the latter part of this presentation. Okay, so the consultation process was quite extensive across the state, starting in August last year. We received 518 submissions from the sector, from FaCS staff and from other government agencies and related organisations. Overwhelmingly, the bulk of those submissions came from the sector, from NGOs working in the early intervention space. There were 26 district consultations attended by 1,100 participants, and we hold 11 specific Aboriginal stakeholder consultations with 150 participants. We also received feedback from clients, 1,800 clients, either through surveys, one-on-one interviews or focus groups. So that information has been quite rich in terms of helping us to understand where we want to go with the reform and what clients are saying, what the sector is saying about what they want a reform early intervention service system to look like. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time now telling you a little about what was in the What You Told Us report, which is the report that was released in April this year, which basically encapsulated the consultation feedback, the consolidated feedback, and some of the information from the client surveys. Essentially, there was 8 key themes emerging from the stakeholder consultations. Firstly, greater flexibility would lead to better outcomes. We know we have a service system now that has rigid program guidelines, and it's often difficult for clients and families to navigate through the service system with the program guidelines we have across the 9 existing early intervention programs. We want to have a system that's much more flexible and increases the flexibility to enable intervention timeframes to be extended if necessary, such things as extending the age-based eligibility criteria. So at the moment, if you're a certain age, you can get a certain service. Once you turn a certain age, you no longer get that service. You still might have a need. So we want to make sure that the service system is flexible enough to be able to deliver interventions when required. We heard that there was new approaches were needed to improving access and awareness of these groups. So specifically, access to services for Aboriginal people who are geographically or socially isolated, people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, and people experiencing mental health, drug and alcohol misuse, child sexual abuse or domestic violence. Importantly, what we heard was that it's important to have Aboriginal stakeholder involvement in the design, planning and delivery of services. It's critical in the reform process that we really look to kind of embed the planning and design of what the early intervention system will look like at the local level, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We heard that it's also important to have culturally appropriate services that reflect Aboriginal models of practice. We heard that early intervention services are more effective when delivered through local partnerships, networks and integrated approaches. And I'm sure a lot of you, that comes as no surprise. Both the evidence and practice from both some of the early intervention work that's delivered through FaCS and some of the work that you're involved in will tell you the same thing. Partnerships, working in networks and integrated approaches to service delivery often are able to generate better outcomes because they're much more able to meet client needs and be more flexible. So having increasing knowledge and awareness of programs and across locations is important. We heard that stakeholders would like to see an increase in the number of place-based approaches within local communities, things such as community hubs, and that district decision-making and design and delivery of local services is critical. So again, it comes down to the point that what a lot of NGOs have said is they want to be involved in the design of the service system at the local level. And clearly we need to change the government structures around what we have now in terms of early intervention programs if that's going to happen. We heard that people need to be assisted earlier. Early intervention really should be about early intervention. So we have programs now within the early intervention space where really the programs are intervening, I guess, too late on that trajectory, so intervening at the point of crisis. We heard that the focus really needs to be kept on early intervention. If we're investing in early intervention and the services are targeting families, those service providers want to be able to get in early. So we heard loud and clear that is important. That is important. If services are doing early intervention, they want to be able to do early intervention. We heard that there needs to be improved systems, information systems and sharing across the service system, and then we need more evidence-based service delivery. One of the challenges for the early intervention system at the moment, we have some models of service delivery within the existing programs that are evidence-based. We have other models of service delivery that are new and emerging models, and also we have some innovative practice. So we heard loud and clear that the focus needs to be on following evidence-based practices wherever possible, but also allowing room for innovation and for other models to emerge, particularly when providing services to Aboriginal communities. There certainly needs to be much more of a focus on sharing information and certainly across the spectrum of early intervention services, we have 9 programs. So the information systems and processes to support those 9 programs now are quite varied. We have some programs, for example, like Families New South Wales, which has much more rigorous information support system as opposed to some of our other programs such as the Child, Youth and Family Services. We heard that practitioner capability and services drive effective service delivery. Agencies made it clear that they really want to see client-centred, strengths-based approaches adopted in the new early intervention system, and also effective models of case management. Agencies wanted to see evidence-based models again, but have the ability to tailor some of those evidence-based models to certain communities or to certain target groups, and that we need to be able to deliver services in a culturally appropriate manner and be able to capture and share data and information. And lastly, but importantly, there needs to be changes to the funding arrangement. And we heard quite clearly that this would build confidence in the sector. The sector would clearly like to see more funding certainty and longer funding cycles, and that's definitely something we've heard. Okay, so we also spent some time getting some client feedback. Client feedback is very important in terms of how we move forward with the reform. Understanding the experiences of the clients as they intersect with the system is one of the critical things that we want to make sure happens during this reform process. So we made an effort to survey one-on-one interview and focus groups with 1,800 clients across 30 locations across the state. Some of the things that clients said, strengths about the program. Clients said that they do feel their lives have improved since getting access to FaCS services, and I think that's a genuine and really positive reflection on the work that agencies such as yourself do. FaCS funds the programs, but organisations such as yourself actually deliver them. So I think what we're hearing from clients is some clients are saying that their lives are improving because of the services they're getting from services like yourself in this room. Clients said that acknowledge that the reputation and credibility of services within local communities is important. Recognising and having a strong, effective organisations able to support people in an early intervention capacity in the community, clients said was important. Clients reflected on person-centred approaches, so the recognition that the client, the person needs to be at the centre of the services delivered. They also said some of the strengths of the program with the quality of the staff. And again, I think that's a reflection on non-government organisations that are delivering these programs, which is a really positive thing. And also that they feel like some of the programs they've had in the section in the early intervention space have enabled them to increase their social connectedness, which I think is very important. On the flip side, some of the improvements that clients noted we should be making in the program. They noted the lack of awareness of some services within the community. Clients also acknowledged that access was an issue, particularly low levels of proactive outreach to some priority groups. And they also acknowledged there's some challenges in terms of inconsistencies in service delivery and the quality of service delivery that they do see. Clients commented on some of the logistics and the locations of services, things such as the size of groups and group work kind of settings, and those allowed a clear message around the lack of childcare in some services that are delivered. They noted there's a complexity of need, and that the service system at times is not able to deliver services that meet that complexity, and certainly not able to deliver services within the one service that meets that complexity of need. And they acknowledge that they'd like to see more integration between services. Okay, so that brings us to the reform parameters. So I guess in terms of the feedback from NGOs and clients and other government agencies. It's been really critical in informing the scope and direction of the way we take the early intervention reform. One of the key things that we've decided is that there will be no reduction in targeted early intervention program funding, and that we will need to work within the current funding. So going forward with the reform, the early intervention funding envelope across those 9 programs won't change. But decision on future funding and implementation timing will be made once the shape of the reform is determined and districts have undertaken local consultation planning. So what that means is we're really close to the public report on early intervention being released. It's expected to be released in July, and we're tracking towards that timeline. Now that public report will really give more detail and information around the directions of the state of early intervention reform. Once that's released in July, there'll also be information in there about timeframes of when the next phase of the reform will happen, and I'll also mention a little bit about that in the next few slides. Over the next 12 months, districts will start to work closely with you here in NGOs and districts. So FaCS will start to work closely with NGOs and districts to look at how the service design and implementation of those reforms will be delivered in location. So once the public report's out in July, FaCS across the state will continue to engage with the sector around design of the service system at the local level and what implementation of that means. So I think forums such as this are certainly helpful, and I know you've had quite a lot of engagement already with the district, with the Western New South Wales district. That's something, as I mentioned earlier, we're keen to make sure that we drive through the reform at the local level, so that it really meets the needs of the community at the local level, as opposed to, I guess, driven from a central office perspective. Okay. What are we looking for in terms of the vision for the new targeted early intervention program? So what we want to see is families able to access support earlier in their children's lives, and that they are empowered to live independent, meaningful lives. What we would like to see is that the risk factors that lead to child abuse and neglect and domestic violence are addressed earlier. So again, it's that focus on intervening early before we reach the crisis point. We want Aboriginal children and families to have access to effective and culturally safe support and services. So to achieve this vision, what we're looking to do is to embed the following 8 principles in the targeted early intervention program. So these principles: children's needs are met earlier, services are evidence-based, informed and targeted to need. We have an outcomes-focused approach, and service system integration and how services work together is the rule, not the exception. Importantly, early intervention remains the focus and the priority of targeted early intervention services. We want a partnership approach to service delivery, which includes joint service design and delivery. We want to be able to build the sector's capacity to deliver on early intervention. So it'll be really critical once when we get into the service design phase at the local level, to think through how we embed these principles in the service system in local areas. Okay, in terms of milestones, there's been quite a lot of research done, as you know, and reviews conducted, including the UAC report. The sector-wide consultations have been undertaken. Contracts have been extended to the end of June, so all the FaCS contracts across those 9 existing programs have been extended to the end of June 2017. We've had the What You Told Us report released, which I spoke a little bit about earlier. And we have the public report outlining the reform directions, which is due for release in July. So I know it's only just over a month away. So So that public report will provide more information and a level of detail around the reform directions. And I know that everyone's keen to know more about what they are. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we're just awaiting the release of that report from the Minister's office. So that public report will give more detail around the reform directions. If you want to know more, you can get up to date through logging on to the TEI Reform newsletter or sending an email to TEI Reform mailbox at FaCS. And that's it. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thanks, Anthony.